So today we'll be talking about cholecystitis, basically inflammation of gallbladder. Now, when we talk about cholecystitis, obviously the inflammation can be either acute or chronic. Sometimes it is acute superimposed on chronic in the sense that a patient has an acute cholecystitis or they have chronic cholecystitis, or in some rare patients they will be suffering from chronic cholecystitis with acute attacks in between. Okay, acute attacks is sharp short term, what do you call, basically the progress is very very quick of the disease. That is an acute attack. Okay, basically what will happen is as inflammation grows, there will be blockage of the gallbladder's neck, and ultimately bile starts getting accumulated. So based on the initiating mechanism of action, you have two different types of cholecystitis. How it starts off, especially in case of acute cholecystitis. If I start off with acute cholecystitis, okay, and acute inflammation of your gallbladder, the initiating mechanism, how it will start, based on that can be categorized into two ways. So we have acute calculus calculus cholecystitis, and we have acute acalculus or non-calculus cholecystitis. What does this mean? Acute calculus cholecystitis means that the blockage or that inflammation which is starting off is because of what you call obstruction in the neck of the gallbladder caused by a gallstone. Okay, that is why it is called calculus. Calculi are gallstones that are, calculi are stones. It can be any type of stone. यहाँ पर calculus cholecystitis मतलब gallbladder में gallstone आ रहा, and that gallstone is blocking the neck of, it is creating an obstruction in the neck of your gallbladder. Okay, 90% of cases of all acute cholecystitis will be of this type. Okay, with a gallstone. So gallstone is causing obstruction in this, causes obstruction. Okay, in the rest of the 10% of cases, it is because of other reasons. Okay, they do not contain any gallstone, but this may be due to non-biliary surgery, or it might be due to multiple injuries. It can be a burns type of injury, or if a person has undergone parturition very recently, so a pregnant lady who has undergone parturition very close, so within a few weeks or months, them, if a patient is having severe sepsis or dehydration or torsion of gallbladder, I'll just list them out. All of those are the acute acalculous type. Okay, in this there is no gallstone, but there is inflammation, and that inflammation is caused by these reasons. Okay, it can be burns, it can be multiple injuries, it can be recent childbirth. Yeah, recent childbirth, or you have torsion of gallbladder. Excuse me. So torsion of gallbladder literally means that the gallbladder is twisting around its neck. Okay, so if you take the gallbladder and twist it around its neck, it will create a obstruction. That obstruction or the torsion will lead to inflammation. Okay, inflammatory damage. And lastly, diabetes mellitus. These are all the acalculous reasons wherein the patient will not have any gallstone, but they will have cholecystitis. They will have inflammation in their gallbladder. Coming to pathological changes that you see inside the gallbladder, your gallbladder will get very distended and it will get tense in the sense that it will inflame. Obviously, there is inflammation. It will increase in size. So it will, let's suppose this is the normal size of your gallbladder. It will distend like this. Okay, it will literally swell up, and it will become very very tense. It will become tender to touch as well, and especially the serosal surface, the outer coating layer that is present, the serosal surface, that will have a fibrous exudate. So what will happen is inflammation, as it keeps on growing more and more, the inflammatory exudate, now obviously if there is inflammation वहाँ पर inflammatory damage हो रहा, meaning the cells of your gallbladder are dying and some of them will exude out into or out into your what you call serosa or onto your serosa. That will make a fibrous exudate. This is fibrous because it will have fibrin in that exudate. Okay, fibrous exudate covers serosa. Okay, this is one of the characteristic features of cholecystitis. Now, other than causing fibrous exudates, what will happen is inside that gallbladder, obviously because there is inflammation, there will be edema. Right, wherever there is inflammation, it will be followed by edema. And whenever there is edema, now what will happen is, let's suppose ये epithelial cells है अंदर के और endothelial cells है अंदर के. Okay, let's suppose, अच्छा, I'll use a different color. Let us suppose the purple line that I'm drawing, that represents the endothelium that is present inside your gallbladder. Now, what happens is यहाँ पर inflammatory damage हो रहा. So I'll just represent that with black. Okay, let's suppose there is inflammatory damage here. And as inflammatory damage progresses, you will have edema and you will have these cells dying. Okay, your monocytes, leukocytes, macrophages, all of them will enter this area. Okay, proper inflammatory reaction will occur. And what ends up happening is in this area, so edema will occur. Okay, a little bit of edema is here. Then we have macrophages entering the area. So these pink dots are macrophages. You have neutrophils entering the area. So all of this will basically cause congestion inside the gallbladder. Now gallbladder का main काम क्या है? Storing and excreting bile whenever it is coming into what you call the gallbladder. Whatever liver is producing bile, the amount of bile that is produced by liver, that is collected through your bile duct, intrahepatic ducts, and it is supplied to your gallbladder through the whole of biliary tree. Ultimately what happens is from here it is sent out, right, from your what do you call common cystic duct and through your hepatic duct, then from your common bile duct, through all of that. I'll not get into the anatomy of that, but basically काम क्या है इसका gallbladder का? It is storing bile inside it. So this green line represents bile. Let's suppose bile is greenish in color, greenish yellow in color. Okay, and whenever there is food coming into your duodenum, this fellow will compress and this bile will leave your gallbladder, so as to the main purpose of bile is that it will help in digestion of your food. Now यहाँ पर problem क्या आता? Because there is an inflammatory reaction. See, edema is coming in, leukocytes are coming in, inflammatory cells are coming in. They are damaging the endothelium that is present inside. Along with that, there is intraluminal and intramural inflammation. Matlab, if I take the cross section of your gallbladder, let's suppose this is the cross section of your gallbladder, and let's suppose this is how your normal endothelium is supposed to be. Okay, creating this lumen. Okay, the space inside your gallbladder. In case of inflammation, what will happen is this will get filled very quickly. So you will have edema here, and you will have neutrophils, you will have all the monocytes, different types of cells invading the area. Ultimately, what will happen is congestion occurs. There will not be enough space for what do you call bile to get excreted properly. So bile starts getting congested and bile starts getting accumulated inside your gallbladder. Sometimes hemorrhage will also be seen. So in this area, along with inflammatory damage, you will also see one or the other blood vessel getting damaged. That will lead to hemorrhage. Okay, so these are three signs that you see in acute cholecystitis. You'll be able to see fibrous exudate, fibrinous exudate on serosa. You'll be able to see congestion inside the gallbladder, and you will be able to see hemorrhage. Sometimes what happens is if there is hemorrhage, the mucosa inside, obviously your gallbladder will have a mucosal layer inside its structure. That mucosa will get stained bright red. Okay, it will become red in color because of the because of hemorrhage. Red cells will go and invade into your mucosa and it will become reddish in color. All right, I hope यहाँ तक समझ में आ रहा. Now inside the, if you have doubts, please let me know. inside the wall of your gallbladder, as inflammatory damage occurs, edema will occur, congestion occurs, neutrophils start invading the area, and the exudate will become excessively neutrophilic. Okay, a lot of neutrophils will enter the area. Ultimately, what will happen is, inside this wall you will have small pouches of pus being collected. Okay, you will have small pouch of pus being collected. That is an abscess. Okay, so you will start seeing abscesses in the wall of your gallbladder. Eventually, as inflammatory damage keeps on accumulating more and more, abscesses develop, and the next stage from abscess is that in this area you will be able to see gangrene. Okay, because this area obviously is undergoing such inflammatory damage and blood vessels are getting damaged, obviously it is not getting any oxygen and it is not getting any proper nutrition. In that case, what happens is cell death, and that type of cell death is gangrene. So gangrene is something that you can see in acute cholecystitis. And sometimes what happens is, whenever this gangrene is occurring, अब ये wall of gallbladder है, इसके अंदर मैं gangrene अगर करा, let's suppose this part, this black dot that I'm doing is a part of gangrene. What will happen is, this cell will lose its proper integrity. This part of your gallbladder wall will lose its integrity, meaning all of the contents inside your gallbladder can start leaking outside into your peritoneum, right? It will cause rupture of your gallbladder, and the contents inside your gallbladder will start moving into your peritoneum. So those are all the pathological changes that occur inside in your acute cholecystitis. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Initially, it will start off with distension of your gallbladder, meaning your gallbladder will enlarge and it will become tense. The surface of the gallbladder, the serosal surface of your gallbladder, will get covered by fibrous exudate. There will be congestion inside the gallbladder because of edema and because of inflammation. Along with that, you'll be able to see hemorrhage. Now, as hemorrhage occurs, what will happen is, neutrophilic exudate starts filling up into the area. So that inflammatory exudate will specifically have a lot of neutrophils in it. Ultimately, what happens is, the wall of the gallbladder will start having pouches of pus inside it. That pouch of pus is an abscess. And as it progresses even more, if you are not able to what you call stop the condition at that point, ultimately gangrene develops. And as gangrene develops, there will be holes created inside the wall of your gallbladder, creating ruptures. Now, through that rupture, whatever content of gallbladder is there, bile and that inflammatory exudate, that will move out into your peritoneum, and it can cause peritonitis, it can cause sepsis, and all of that, different complication. But that is the progression of acute cholecystitis. Okay, I hope समझ में आया. Now, coming to, if you have doubts, please feel free to ask. You can put it in the chat as well. Okay, chronic cholecystitis. Chronic cholecystitis mainly occurs, the etiology of chronic cholecystitis is, see, one thing is that you will definitely see gallbladder. It can have several reasons why it is occurring, but one thing for certain is that chronic cholecystitis will always have gallbladder. Okay, almost in all cases you will be able to see gallstones present in that gallbladder and causing an obstruction. So hey, yeah, the meeting is continuing now, right? I just lost connection just as such. It, out of nowhere, it got abruptly stopped and again it got connected. So as I was telling you about chronic cholecystitis, in almost all of the cases, cholecystitis, virtually all cases have gallstones. Okay, all of those cases will present with gallstones, and the pathological changes that you see inside this is that the gallbladder can be erratic in shape, in the sense that in some people it will be contracted, in some people it can be of normal size, and in some other people it can be enlarged. So you will see variance in what you call the size. More often than not, you'll see contracted gallbladder. As well, the wall of the gallbladder will become thick. Okay, and if you cut into the wall of the gallbladder, so gallbladder wall becomes thick, And if you cut into the wall of the gallbladder, you'll be able to see uh, grayish white fibrosis occurring. So obviously scarring has occurred. Chronic cholecystitis meaning it has been going on for a long period of time. Meaning what is happening here is inflammation is occurring, and that inflammatory damage has been here for a long period of time. As inflammatory damage has been there for a long period of time, obviously at one point of time regeneration will occur again and again, and at one point repair will start. Whenever repair starts, scarring will start happening. Okay. And scarring will be accompanied by fibrosis and calcification. So that is why, one second, cut surface, um, cut surface is grayish white due to fibrosis, dense fibrosis and calcification. Okay. As inflammatory damage keeps on occurring again and again, ultimately it will lead to fibrosis and calcification. Specifically, what will happen is to your mucosal folds, the mucosa that's present inside, very rarely it will be intact. Okay. So sometimes it will get completely obliterated, or it will get atrophied. Most of the times it will be atrophied, but sometimes it can also be intact, but it will be very thick, the mucosa that is present inside it. And the lumen inside your gallbladder, lumen will contain multiple gallstones. Okay, which will cause a proper obstruction. Sometimes you can see a large combined stones as well, or you can see small multiple of those gallstones. And microscopically, if you see into the gallbladder, what you see is that mucosa will get congested as it is getting thickened. It will become congested, or sometimes it will get completely destroyed, as I told you. And what will happen is penetration of mucosa will occur into the layer of the gallbladder. So as gallbladder wall is undergoing fibrosis and calcification, the integrity of the gallbladder will start loosening. Okay. Or to put it in another way, it will not be as strong as it used to be, the wall of the gallbladder. And at one point of time, let's suppose this is your gallbladder. Okay. And let's suppose this area is undergoing severe fibrosis and scarring. What will happen is mucosa will start invading into the wall of your what do you call gallbladder. It will start going deeper and deeper. Think of it like an ulceration. Okay. Mucosa will start going down into your muscularis layer almost. And you will obviously chronic inflammatory cells, so you will see lymphocytes, you will see plasma cells, macrophages entering into the area. And the fibrosis that is occurring, that will occur up to the area of subserosa, or sometimes up to subepithelial layers. Okay. So I'll just write that down. Fibrosis occurs till subserosa or subepithelium. Okay. So those are the pathological changes that you see inside chronic cholecystitis. Chronic cholecystitis is something that has been going on for years together. And when I tell about a condition where acute is superimposed on chronic, okay, acute is coming on chronic, it means that the patient has already been suffering from chronic cholecystitis. They have been taking medication for chronic cholecystitis, but in between that they are getting acute attacks. Okay, that is acute superimposed on chronic cholecystitis. All right. So with that, we have completed cholecystitis. If you have doubts, please let me know, or else we'll move into glomerulonephritis. If you want me to repeat anything or explain anything again? No? All right. Now coming to glomerulonephritis. Glomerulonephritis literally translates to, it is also called Bright's disease, literally translates to inflammation of your glomeruli, okay, leading to nephrotic damage. Okay, यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, you will have, so let me paint you a picture. Let's suppose we have a normal nephron like this. Okay, you have your glomerulus, here is your glomerular tuft. ठीक है, यहाँ पर आपके mesangial cells है, these are, let's suppose these are your mesangial cells, and you have your interstitium and all of that. ठीक है, ऐसा है. You have your GBM here, glomerular basement membrane, and under that you have podocytes. Okay, this is the basic anatomy of your nephron. ये आपका podocytes, foot-like processes. ठीक है. If you want in detail, let's go and check into your anatomy and physiology of nephron. But I'm only giving a very basic picture of what is happening. Okay, so you have PCT here. You have loop of Henle. Loop of Henle maybe you have thick portion, thick descending portion. Then you have thin descending portion, thin ascending portion. Then we have thick ascending portion, DCT. Then we have collecting duct. Okay, it opens into your collecting duct. Oh dear, 1 second. Okay, again, please excuse the diagram, but this is only for understanding purposes. So this is your what do you call, tuft, glomerular tuft, the blood vessels that are coming inside, and this is your mesangial cells. Mesangial cells are responsible for clearing out the debris inside your what do you call, glomeruli. Okay, and you have your podocytes here, foot processes. This is your PCT. This is your DCT. This is your collecting tubule or collecting duct, whatever. This is your loop of Henle. This is the descending loop of Henle. This is the ascending loop of Henle. That too, this is the thin part and this is the thick part. Okay, one is impervious to water, the other is impervious to sodium. Okay, and any other part, यहाँ पर आपको visceral epithelium, parietal epithelium भी रहता है यहाँ पर. So I'll just use a different color for that. Let's use purple. Okay. So यहाँ पर है आपका parietal epithelium. ठीक है, away from your visceral epithelium. Your visceral epithelium of your glomeruli are your podocytes. Okay, if you remember, this is also parietal epithelium, and this is your interstitial space. Glomerular space, interstitial space, and so on. Okay, this is not exactly completely accurate, I would say, but at least you get the picture. What is happening now in nephritis, or let's suppose we are starting off with some kind of damage wherein I am only focusing on this part. Okay, अभी के लिए यहाँ तक I hope you guys are following along. I'll only focus on this part and I'll delete all of this for now. ठीक है, so okay, use the same color so that आप लोगों को easy रहता है याद रखने. You have your glomerular basement membrane. We have okay, and we have mesangial cells here, and we have podocytes here. यहाँ पर आपका आया parietal epithelium. Your visceral epithelium and podocytes are the same thing. Oh dear, this should have been like this. Okay, so again this is only for understanding purpose. Now यहाँ पर क्या होता, let's suppose because of whatever reason there is damage to your glomerular basement membrane. ठीक है, this is your glomerular basement membrane, glomerular basement membrane, and these are your podocytes. Now these are like meshes. Okay, they will make sure that things that are coming through your blood capillary, so you have three layers of filters. Okay, you have endothelium of your blood vessel. Okay, I'll draw that endothelium with a different color. Okay, let's use this color. ये orangish color जो है, that represents the endothelium of the blood vessel. Okay, the glomerular tuft that is coming inside. This means that whatever is getting filtered through your glomeruli has to go over three different filters. One filter is this endothelium, okay? Second filter is this GBM. Third filter is this podocyte. Okay? Three filters through which it will make sure that no large proteins are able to escape your vertical blood vessel. Another thing is that your body is constantly maintaining a negative charge across your GBM, okay? Across your GBM and across your endothelial layer, there will be a constant negative charge. I'm just putting minus signs here. I'm just increasing the size of those minus signs. But इसका purpose क्या है? See, normally speaking, whenever proteins are present at your normal body pH, that is around 7.4, their charge, okay, dielectric constant जिसको बोलते हैं, their charge will be negative. Okay, अब negative protein है बोले तो it will not be able to come out through this because negative will repel each other. The purpose is that your proteins should not be lost into your urine. Okay, your body will naturally have a negative charge around your glomeruli, taken near your podocytes, near your GBM, and near your endothelium, and along with that your body will also maintain a three different layers of filters. This is in hopes that whenever a protein is coming across this layer, one thing it should. Hey guys, sorry about that, I got disconnected again just out of nowhere. That is happening. फिर से पूरा उतारना, ठीक है? As I was telling you, the main concept is that the negative charge that is present there and the filters that are present there, they will make sure that the proteins that are present inside your blood, they are not lost into your nephron. Okay, as such, if a protein is present at normal pH, okay, at around 7.4, it will have a negative charge. This negative charge and the negative charge of your GBM and the negative charge on your endothelium of your blood vessel, both of them will make sure, अब negative है बोला तो ये दोनों एक दूसरे को repel करते हैं, they will repel each other, because of which proteins are not lost in urine. Okay, glomerulonephritis will start off with protein loss, something called selective proteinuria. Okay, it will not come to an extent of glomerulonephritis, but it will be glomerular damage. Okay, it will start off with glomerular damage, wherein selective proteinuria हो रही. Selective proteinuria का मतलब क्या है? Now this starts off because of whatever reason, let's suppose your GBM and your podocytes that are present here, okay, they are having holes inside their structure. So let me draw it this way. पोडोसाइट को ऐसा ही उतार देंगे. This GBM, let's suppose this is your GBM, and it is having small holes present inside it. Okay, small microscopic holes. Now these holes are able to send out albumin alone. Okay, globulin is slightly bigger. Okay, both of them are important proteins that are present inside your blood. Selective proteinuria का मतलब क्या है? Only albumin will be lost through these holes, but globulin will be not lost through these holes. ठीक है? As such, if this proteinuria increases a lot, meaning at one point of time the amount of protein that is being lost, only albumin, if it becomes 3.5 grams per day, if it exceeds more than 3.5 grams per day, that condition will be called proteinuria. Okay, that is one of the main steps or one of the first steps that you see in glomerular damage. Okay, I'll continue more in detail tomorrow. I hope you understood till here.